Hey, Concrete Crazies, my name is Tyler Lay, and I want to ask you a question. Why don't we have a concrete Yelp? You know what Yelp is, right? It's the app that's on your phone that tells you where you can get great food locally. It shows you pictures, it gives you rankings, it tells you how much it costs, and it even gives you a map. It gives you everything you need to know to find quality food. That's what it's all about. Now, food is great. I'm a huge fan of it. But I think concrete's even better. Let me tell you what I'm talking about, because I think we need a concrete Yelp. When you go out and get the best barbecue you can in town, you probably only spend 20 minutes or so truly eating and enjoying that material. How long do we depend on our concrete to last? Well, hundreds of years sometimes, decades. You want your kids to have it, right? Why don't we pay more attention to our concrete quality like we do to our food quality? How about cost? If you go out and buy the dessert in town, the best sundae you can find, it's probably about 10 bucks or less. How much money do we spend on our concrete projects? Our concrete infrastructure that we want to last hundreds of years is sometimes millions of dollars. Why don't we pay more attention to the quality of our concrete? And that's kind of what this video is about, because I'm going to talk to a quality expert. Because I think we need something like this for concrete. Something that's government or third-party run, where they look at the sanitation rating or the quality rating of our concrete. I'm talking about the producers, the contractors, maybe even the agencies, and give people a ranking. Let people know how they're doing in their concrete quality. If you do this, I think things will improve. Hey, if you think this is a good idea, leave me a comment below. If you got any worries about it, leave me a comment below. But today, I'm going to be talking to a quality expert, a guy that if he was ranked in the quality scale, he would be upper 90s, above a 95 for sure. I'm talking about Rusty Owings. He is the quality control manager for Geiger Ready Mix, and you can tell from his image, he is a quality guy. Rusty inspects and looks and pains over the ingredients and the methods that they use at Geiger Ready Mix to produce quality concrete. He's kind of like a concrete chef. You know, the guy or the girl that's in the restaurant that smells and looks and makes sure everything is perfect before it goes out to their customers? That's Rusty, only with concrete. A guy after my own heart. Rusty is going to give you his playbook. He's going to tell you what he does, how he does it, and the benefits that he, his company, and his region has seen from his efforts. I think this is something we can all learn from. An example of where quality is winning. Now, I hope you can get involved. I hope you can up your quality game in your company, in your region, and in your organization. So with that, please enjoy this wide-ranging conversation with Rusty Owings. Hey, thanks everybody for being here today. We are talking with Rusty Owings from Geiger Ready Mix. Rusty has been a longtime friend of mine and is an awesome, amazing concrete person, and I'm so excited to introduce you to. So Rusty, tell us about an unusual habit or absurd thing that you love, of course, besides the most amazing material in the world, concrete.
I have to admit that I love IKEA. It's the architect in me, I know, but I've applied for a part-time job there. They won't let me work just one day a month. But anything that is related to IKEA, the philosophy of designing everything in your home by a designer is just fascinating to me. And I love to help my friends and family for delicious meals and tasty beverages, to put together furniture for them and make their homes a well-designed place for good economy. So
that's awesome,
IKEA
dude.
is like my, I love it. I've traveled all the way to each coast to get things for my own home before we had one here. So yeah, if you need help with your IKEA, I'm your guy.
That's awesome. That's totally cool. So I think that's really insightful to you, because you are definitely a designer, and I think this will kind of feed into this next question. So Rusty, tell us your concrete story, okay? How were you birthed into the concrete world, and how did you get to where you're at right now?
So half my life ago, I enrolled in school to be an architect at the University of Kansas, and I In my 5 years there, I actually worked for one of my professors, a guy named by the name of Dan Rockhill. Created a not-for-profit called Studio 804. Again, these are things you can look up, and I encourage you to. But anyway, when I graduated, I went to work for him and his firm that builds a home every summer. And the house was made of concrete, foundations, floors, walls. We did all the countertops in the house out of concrete. We cast a concrete bathtub. We made concrete shower panels. I mean, it was just concrete everywhere, and it really opened my mind. I mean, I knew this was an amazing material that was economical, that could take any shape and provide structure and last a really, really long time. But that really, getting my hands in it, making this beautiful home for his firm, really got my taste into it. So when I graduated, I had to go do my internship as an architect. So I had to go, at the time, work my way in CAD, AutoCAD, in an office for many years to do my intern development. And on the side, I was making countertops and furniture and things like that. And come to find one of my neighbors worked for Ash Grove, and ended up, because I didn't want to sit at a computer in front of AutoCAD all day, taking a position with them as a quality control technician 20 years ago, probably. Started testing concrete, and through many iterations, 20 years later, here I am, still doing it, still making mixes, testing materials, and again, I think it's the most amazing material on the planet, and it always continues to amaze me. That's kind of my story on how I got to where I am now in a nutshell.
Dude, amen, brother. What a cool concrete birth story. That's awesome. So Geiger Ready Mix, that's where you've been. Tell us about what you do there, and tell us about the company and what they're all about.
Sure. So Geiger Ready Mix is a 5th generation family-owned company, which is pretty unique in this day and age. There's actually a book, if you go on Amazon, that's been written about it. Nice. But anyway, in 1892, the first Geiger, he started selling cement and lime. And in 1949, we started in the ready mix business. I was hoping to try to get my view today with the little 3-yard mixer that we have out in front of our office. That was one of the first ones Bill Geiger's dad bought 70-some years ago. But in the photo. But anyway, they've been a family-owned business, just kind of built through word of mouth and doing quality construction for over 70 years. And really have grown with just 5 plants in our region. We've grown to be the largest ready mix supplier in our area. And we've done that by a lot of things. The one thing that I've really learned here in the last 5 years that I've been here, because I've worked for worked for Ash Grove, a bigger cement company, is they have this core value system that really is not just something that's kind of words on the wall, it's kind of things they live. If you look back over my shoulder here, these are caricatures of people that have worked 40, 50 years here. And again, in my experience, you don't find people that put in that kind of time and work for those types of organizations without really enjoying it and enjoying what they do. And I have to say, I feel blessed to have become a part of this organization and their growth in the last 5 years. So,
dude, that's awesome. So quality control, that's one thing I want to really focus on, because as you said, you were a quality control tester for a long time. I every time I talk to you, like, you've always got something you're doing, something you're cooking up. I'm just super impressed on the quality control efforts that you make. So I want to ask a simple question first. What does quality control mean to you, and why is it important to what you guys do at Geiger?
I really think that probably the most at its root, the most important thing about quality control, if you think about it, and I'm a big fan of what you preach as far as the tripartite of concrete, quality aggregates, quality paste, and air, making this amazing material. But each one of those ingredients are variable, right? So even though, the cement guys, you look at a mill test report, I mean, that's fun fact, an average of all the tests they've done for the month. It's not their daily progress, right? But if you're starting to watch some of these things at that level, you're going to notice these materials, they vary. And if you're paying attention to that and you're paying attention to those variables, you can back up claims like I can make consistent quality concrete for 500 or 1,000 yards, and I can do it, 365 days a year. And that's just my opinion, in aggregates the same way. I mean, we're mining aggregates here. We take our sands, we dredge them for the river. All of our coarse aggregates are, obviously crushed from underground mines or surface mines. Or imported, we're in that great area where some limestone producers put some bad product out on the ground and gave themselves a bad name. So we have all kinds of imported aggregates as well. But those are going to vary, and especially when you're trying to pull in an aggregate from, for me, it's Arkansas or the Dakotas or Colorado or, the Illinois. Those materials by the time they come here, if they're variable and they're going to change on you want to know that, right? I mean, because as you know so well, gradation plays a big part of it, all those types of things. So at its root to me, I mean, that's the critical thing. It's boring sometimes to do gradations. It's boring to do the same test over and over again. Why are we testing a plane mix for air and unit weight? Because something could be occurring. It happened to us the other day. We had a plane mix we've made forever, and all of a sudden they're saying, we're getting 4 or 5% on the job site. And it ended up being the sand gradation. The guy thought it was admixtures, but we knew our product well enough. We made a quick change. Within 100 yards, we were back down under the 3% range because something had changed on us. But I'm a big proponent in that, knowing your ingredients that are going to be variable, to put them together to try to make that consistent product is key to being.
No, dude, that is right on. I totally agree with that. So let's give some specifics. Now, you mentioned tons and tons of great stuff there. I mean, you talked about checking gradations and watching into that. So let's just talk about aggregates for a second. What kind of things do you do with your aggregates? Just kind of let some people know the links you go to and what you test.
So, in our case, we got 5 locations. The goal is to we sample anywhere from 3 to 5 aggregates. The goal is at each plant once a week, and we kind of do that randomly. We're constantly doing gradations because, again, we're feeding that information in to kind of see how things are changing over time. Other things we do, absorption. One of our suppliers has 4 different ledges, so during the year, we can go from a 1.5% absorption to almost a 3% absorption.
Wow.
Again, that's going to affect your slump, or slump loss. If, you're hoping the 3% comes in winter and not in the middle of summer, but it happens. So you got to pay attention to that. Really, LA abrasion, we do that. I think that's a big factor, especially when you get into the hard rocks. Again, kind of expensive piece of equipment, but most of your local testing labs can do that for you pretty inexpensively. But that's a good number. But absorption, LA abrasion, and then again, just that gradation factor, because we all know, in a cubic yard of concrete, the most volume is aggregates. If we can pack as much in there as possible, we limit the paste, we limit the shrinkage, we make it more economical, we make better concrete, right? So paying attention to that's key. And what I've found is really communicating with your suppliers. We're blessed with Martin Marietta. They're a bigger company. They've got people doing their own gradation, so we have their stuff, their weekly averages coming in so we can compare what they're doing. Other people not so much. We'll go out to the quarries and sample from them. But having that level of knowledge will influence you. Because as I tell I tell all of my suppliers, I'm pretty much skilled enough to make anything work as long as I know it's coming, right? If I know the change is coming, that's great. But once it's in the concrete and we're having the problem, that's the time when we really probably should have communicated better.
Definitely. No, that's right on. And, in aggregates, I think is a special issue in Kansas, as you said. I think that, because, you go to great lengths to get good materials. Bring it in from a lot of different distance, and that's kind of rare. Usually whatever's the closest pit you can get, that's
the idea, right? That's the idea of concrete. We can go anywhere in the world and we get rock and sand and we get some some good quality paste and put it together and do it well and cure it right, we got good concrete, right? And for us, because of, like I said, some bad actors in the 90s that were, things were good like they are now. People were just making concrete and, maybe they weren't testing, maybe they were, I don't know all the details. There's a big study done if you want to read about it, the KDOT aggregate study. That's they have a freeze thaw that's 660 cycles. It's much, greater than the ASTM-C 666 at 300. So
yeah, they should have just added 6 more, then they'd have the devil's number again, right?
Indeed. But I mean, if an aggregate can pass in Kansas I'm pretty sure it's it's going to be a good quality product for you.
It'll survive like the end of the earth. Yes.
Indeed.
So what are some other things? I mean, what are some? Do you do any more things on your raw materials?
Well, that's aggregates. That's what we're doing a lot on our end to do that. We've never got into the ASR testing because we can get into a whole nother debate about that. I'm a big fan of the 1293 test, but it takes too long. Nobody wants to wait. But we've never really got into that. But that's aggregates. Now, when it goes to paste, of course, we're family owned. We're not owned by a big cement company, so we buy multiple different cement suppliers in case somebody, like this spring when it got really, really wet, one of our suppliers had a problem getting it up here. So, it was nice to have options. So we're purchasing 3 different cements. We've got 2 different sources of Class C fly ash, a Class F fly ash. We've got 3 different sources of slag. There's silica fume, which we really don't use anymore. Pretty rarely, but lots of different cementitious materials. So one tool that I use, and this may be jumping ahead, but in that category is about 2.5 years ago, I convinced them to let me buy a calorimeter, right?
Nice.
So you can get the little pocket kind in the field that like the Grace guy, your Grace rep may have, but all the way up to one we bought, which is what the cement plants have. It can be kind of expensive, but it's a huge thermocouple, basically. And as we all know from your years ago hydration cinema or theater, right? I mean, this is all chemical reaction, right? It gives off a lot of heat. So in a small 125-gram cup, I can basically take, we're sampling basically weekly these cementitious materials because of the volumes we do. And we're combining them in the cup, and we're making sure, we do our standard set test, kind of like the cement lab does, and make sure everything's good. Because again, you start doing this I've done it for about a 2.5-year period, you're going to see changes. I mean, things change, right?
That's cool.
And you can make adjustments to that. And, your SCM guy, your fly ash or slag guy is going to tell you, oh, more is better, right? Reduce the permeability. Well, you can put so much in there that the finisher wants to throw you off the job because it won't set up, right? Yeah. So we can have these little experiments and do these little, we can try it at a very small scale very easily, wait a couple days, see what it does. Yep, that's matching where I want to be. And then we can try, a trial batch in a truck and see how it goes, and then take it out to the customer and let them try it. And that's where we've been really successful with a lot of these, new mixes using higher volumes of slag and Class F fly ash and making super quality concrete, in my opinion, that'll last, as long as the Romans, if it can be all placed and cured properly, which that's questionable at times. Yeah, it's been a great tool, right? And then of course we go to air. We're blessed in the state of Kansas to still be under a paving job where we have to use the air void analyzer, if you're familiar with that. Very expensive piece of equipment, very sensitive, that KDOT's using out in the field in the job trailer that gets all kinds of crazy results, right? A great tool if you're in the lab pre-qualifying an admixture, in my opinion, right? Is this going to work better than this for my materials, right? In the lab. But your creation, obviously for the field, the super air meter, we own one, we love it. We have helped you with that on that. Not trying to make a plug for you, but I mean, I think it's gaining more success because people are seeing, yeah, that's a lot better tool. It's a lot more useful than this, very expensive piece of lab equipment. So we rely on that as well. So that kind of our trinity there of ingredients. That's how we're kind of maintaining and watching those materials, because to try to make that good product, and make changes when things change.
Dude, that is so innovative, man. Seriously, isothermal calorimetry. That's what you started talking about. That's where you measure the heat given off during the reaction. Is like gives you so much insight into your concrete, and a lot of people just don't do it. A lot of people just don't measure it. I mean, we measure it in our lab all the time, but it's super excited to hear somebody in the field that's doing it all the time and seeing what's going on.
And what I've noticed too, Tyler, is that once the cement guys know you have one, right, and you start sharing some data with them, I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, we had one supplier that it was kind of up and down, and things have kind of leveled out a little more.
That's
and
good.
I'm not saying that was why, but I'm just saying that, it is an investment, but, I don't know. You get a hot load that blows up on somebody and you have to tear some concrete out, God forbid. I mean, that's expensive. That's the most expensive part of this, which I've unfortunately been on. But I mean, if you're a ready mix producer and you're looking ahead and how can I, better manage that, and how can I utilize these products and know before I'm just trusting somebody and putting it out there and saying a little prayer and hoping it works, I mean, a little more information, so.
No, dude, that's totally awesome. That is amazing. And you jumped into the fresh property testing a little bit with the super air meter. Is there other stuff that you subscribe to that you do all the time that you run in the fresh?
In our lab that we've acquired, one is so we all know resistivity, right? We get that good quality paste, keep the water and the salts out, right? And how do we measure that? The electrical, right, test, we make that correlation. It's always been the RCPT test, right? It's not rapid, it doesn't test for chlorides, it's totally named incorrectly, but I mean, that's kind of the gold standard. And we have 2 of those machines that we run monthly tests on. But so we bought the ProSec Recipod 2.5, 3 years ago. We had one, where you had to do the 4 points. So what we recently got here in about the last 18 months was the Surf, right? So this is where you can roll the sample off on the towel, put it right in, it does all the calculations, gives you the number. We did for about 60 days both tests, which the lab guys love that, right? But just to try to get some consistency, to make sure there was consistency. And I think because just of the general fact that you're not having to go back in and, you can take the sample, get the moisture off of it pretty quickly, put it in there and get the result very quick. It's actually a more consistent test in my opinion. But that's been great. And it's been great because now we run resistivity. Sometimes at early ages if we're experimenting with something, but on every set of cylinders that come through our laboratory, we run at 28 days and 56 days, we run the resistivity test. And I've got 2,500 points of data of different cylinders over that time frame that, in a nutshell tell you, straight cement, permeability is not so great. Use a little fly ash or slag, gets a lot better. You put the 2 together, oh my God, that's awesome. And you get a great aggregate too. What? It's off the charts, right? We consistently have a mix that we get on if you know these numbers, the ohms, we're getting like 55, 60.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's really good, dude.
It is really,
that's
really
amazing.
good.
That's so
so we use that daily as a great tool. And then the other thing that, and again, I'm not trying to promote anything, but these little wireless probes that you can throw in the concrete. So this is maturity, right? So everybody wants to open the road quicker and do strength tests, right? And ASTM 1074 maturity test, been around for a long time, right? All it's doing is monitoring this, what we know is the chemical reaction, right? We talked about the calorimeter, measuring the heat curve, right? This is just a very expensive thermometer, right? That you throw in the concrete, and then you use your phone. Everybody's got one of these, right? And we go out and we do all the work in the lab, run the trial batch, break all the cylinders, establish the cure. But this has been a huge thing for vertical construction. We've done two projects like that for releasing forms. It's huge on paving, opening roads to traffic. I honestly think they make some claims that I'm not 100% on, but I can tell you right now, I just went out and read one today. We broke the 7-day and it was within 350 PSI of the cylinder result. And there hasn't been one yet in the probably, over 1,000 probes that's been more than 500 off. So
that's insane.
It's a pretty cool use of that, again, just tracking that temperature and heat gain for whatever the recipe is.
Yeah, because the whole idea is that if you understand the heat and you understand what's potential because you've measured it in the lab, and you measure the heat that's actually been generated in the field, you can tie those two together and predict strength, which is pretty powerful. And it's really cool to see you doing it. That technology's been around a long time. I know people have made it a lot easier for people to use, and it's just awesome to see it being implemented in the field.
It is, and it's come a long way. And I think what is even more important, and I mean, I'm going to get on a little soapbox here right now because I'm huge in certification here locally and at the national level. I mean, what we fight, I'm not going to say but a third of the issues that we have are low strength. And when you dig into it, 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, it's because the cylinders weren't cured properly, right? They dried out, or somebody dropped them, or something like that. And this really puts it's another tool for the contractor to know what he's got. I mean, this isn't going to lie to you. It's in the concrete, right? Taking the temperature. I mean, you're not relying on some cylinder that was dried out in the sun or got knocked over or didn't get tested right or whatever. It's been a good reality check for the testing lab to do their job too. So
I bet, dude, that's totally awesome.
As well, so.
Dude, so we've covered a lot of different stuff. What are some of the benefits that you've seen from all these efforts?
Well, I mean, what your bosses always like to hear is, I think we already had a ridiculously low lost loads, or rejected loads category, but we get, that number's gone down pretty to a very low level. But I think the benefit overall is, for me, just at a personal level, I got into concrete because, back in the day I went to Rome and, saw it's going to be almost 2,000-year-old concrete, you know what I mean? And just and it can take any shape, any form. You look at Santiago Calatrava, right? Marrying steel and concrete and making these beautiful things structurally. It can do anything, but you want it to last a long time, right? And my biggest problem that I have, and for our industry, is I walk outside right now and I'll see some really good concrete and then some that's not so good, right? And we need to make that better, right? We need to do a better job of getting that good concrete everywhere. So at the end of the day, knowing that what I'm influencing, at least in my way, in my little place of, in the world, what we're making is good, and hopefully will last a long time, because that's why you choose concrete. That's why we want to build with it. And you want to support that.
No, dude, those are awesome words. That's totally right on. Totally agree with you, 100%. So what is an area of concrete that you think needs to be reinvented, and why? I ask this question to everybody because I think I'm always looking for new ideas and doing whatever. And I love talking to you, dude, because you've always got something new going on. So what do you think? What needs to be reinvented and why?
Well, and you've had so many changes. I love the old timer that comes up and is like, I've been doing this for 20 years and that concrete, it doesn't, it's different than it was. And it is different, right? We've changed the way we make cements, grinding them finer to make them go faster, all these things. But, the biggest thing for me that I would like to, and it's not really reinventing. I saw John's piece on that you're doing similar here with the colloidal silicas. Curing, right? Most overlooked step of the entire process. If you could make it dummy proof to where the concrete could get cured, right? And that top surface didn't scale or flake off or have some issue in 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and people could be happier with that as far as the surface goes. And we'd pay more attention to that. I think our industry would be, I know 50% of the problems I look at would be gone. Because that's what, and that's this whole partnership, right? I'm partnering with my material suppliers to make quality concrete, but I can make the best quality concrete, and the guy puts a bunch of water in it and sprays water all over the top and doesn't cure it, he's going to have some issues, right? And if there's some way that we could rethink that, and I know there's lots of smart people, smarter than me, looking at that and trying to make finishing aids and those types of things to where it can improve that, I think we'd all be far better off. Because just construction schedules won't allow you to water cure for 7 days, right?
Yeah.
Although that would be the best.
No, I get you. I get you. No, I totally get you. I think the biggest challenge with that is that people just don't even know how important it is, and there's some, I think I put this video up. If not, I need to, where I compare water curing to spray on cure to no cure, and it's just eye-opening to see what an impact it makes on the quality of that concrete, as far as permeability, as far as strength, as far as just so many things that we pay so much money for, that you do so much to create, and then it can all be undone. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I'm on a 10,000 yard, paving job the other day, and it's their 7th pour, and they're still on the same 255 gallon drums. And I'll send you a picture when I get out of here of this. I mean, the curing application, and then he had some issues, with some dry shrinkage crack, and I'm like, dude, you're doing 10-inch thick paving, and you're like putting a streak of cure like every 5 feet, I'm like, I'm sure you're saving a lot of money on cure, but I'm like, I'm going to come back here in 5 years and this top's going to be like gone. This broom finish is going to be gone. So that education, and, and I've said this for years, all contractors would be better off to just train a team. I call them the curing ninjas, right? They're just guys that show up. They didn't place the concrete. They didn't finish it. They're all fresh. They've got a trailer with all new clean equipment, all the right products, plenty of it, and they go in and that's all they do, right? Make a nice, clean, pass on everything, make sure it's all properly cured and everything. I try to tell these guys, and I've had some luck with it. I mean, we've had 2 contractors that have done that, and I'm telling you, the phone calls, and you can go back and look at their work. It looks the same as it does 1, 2, 3 years later. It's just a huge. Again, because I feel like I can make the best product, but if it's not placed and cured properly, you can still have the end result we don't want.
Oh man, I totally agree. I think actually I did a calculation that said that for a bridge, that's kind of an expensive piece, but for a bridge it was like 0.2% of the cost is what it costs to cure. Right? And if you didn't cure the concrete, I think it reduced the lifespan by 50 years.
And I believe it. I mean, and look at the, I mean, at least in our MoDOT, maybe not as much, but KDOT, I mean, the extremes, the specifications they have for curing, right? And it's like, okay, we do that for a bridge. Why aren't you doing that for the paving? Why aren't you doing that for somebody's driveway? I mean, why aren't you, it's all concrete. It all needs to be cured. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like, I don't know. Anyway,
that's awesome.
That's
awesome.
that's something
I've got some stuff I want to show you next ACI. I got some stuff that I'm working on in that area, so we'll see if it pans out. But I think education is the biggest issue. You know what I mean? I think people need to just know what's going on. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I think that's right on.
For sure.
All right. So now, if you met a person in the concrete world and you wanted to give them some advice, they're smart, they're driven, what would you tell them? Based off your awesome past year's experience, what would you tell them?
So read all 9 volumes of the Manual of Concrete Practice, and then come back to me. I'm kidding. I think probably the most important thing that I've learned in my career, right, 20 years now doing this, is to get involved, ACI, ASTM, if you're in school studying this, I mean, try to, get in at the student level. But I mean, what I've learned is, before I, 10 years ago, got involved with these organizations, right, I was here, I have this problem, and, I didn't know how to solve it. And then I'd go, and, oh my God, I met these people that are from all over the world having the same problems, right, giving me some other ideas, some solutions, plus also networking about different materials, learning about new things, and having that, interaction with somebody else and creating the relationships like, we have. That's priceless, right? I mean, it's not only priceless for your career and making, networking to move on and move forward and find something you love to do, but also just for your knowledge base. I mean, there's not one convention that I don't go to and come away with something new. One of the things we're trying right now, I saw 2 years ago at a convention. And I thought, man, why are we not trying that? So I would encourage to because I mean, especially like ASTM, you can become a voting member for like $75 plus you get a whole set of the standards, right? I mean, and try to go to a committee meeting and do those types of things. But I mean, you can at least get involved in that way and make those connections, because I think that's really, truly, we're in a virtual world today. I mean, we're doing this virtually right now, but that face-to-face and meeting other people from literally all over the world and sharing your concerns and problems has been super helpful for me.
Well, dude, I would say, to add to that, you are one of the most open-minded concrete producers I've ever met. I mean, you're always looking to change and do something different. And I think that's another thing that people need to realize, is that you hear stuff and see stuff and you go out and you try it. I think that's awesome. That's really awesome. More people need to be doing that. And then, you know what? You also call a spade a spade. If it doesn't work, you don't just keep doing it anyway. You're like, yeah, it didn't work for me. I don't know why. Let's keep going. Let's keep trying. But
yeah, and I mean, there's some things that don't work.
So what is something that you're excited about, that you're working on, that you want to share with others? Do you know, just something that you're fired up about?
Yeah. I mean, two things, and again, I don't think they're anything new if you're paying attention in our world of concrete that we love so much. But the CO2, injecting CO2 into the concrete, to try to take that load out of the environment, and then the reaction that it makes, because it actually has a cementitious value, right, with the limestone. But injecting CO2 into the concrete, as some other producers have been doing it, I just think that's a amazing thing. I mean, you can do so much there as far as mix goes, plus environment. I mean, I talked about those core values. I mean, one of the things I respect so much about this organization is one of our core values is respecting the environment. So, I mean, we go to great lengths. We have washouts on our truck. I mean, we try not to make a footprint, when we're out there, in this very, wasteful industry. So, I mean, that's something that's huge to me, because I want to, I want to leave the world at least livable for my children. And then the other thing is, and it kind of coincides with that. I was talking about it here just a minute ago, that I saw at one of the conventions so limestone fines, right? So it's basically the waste product at the quarry that they can't really sell. There's usually big piles of it. It's like 1/4-inch chip down to dust, right? And they just pile it off because they can't sell it anywhere if they don't have, farmer can't use it for the lime or whatever. Anyway, so really high concentrated air, and using that in place of our river sand for flowable fill, right? So, and I mean, it works out great. We've tried it on customers. They love it. And then we're just thinking about putting 200 or 300 pounds in like all of our residential walls and footings. I mean, our waterman goes up just a little bit, but it fills in our gap graded gradation for us. And I mean, literally it's 1/3 of the cost of our fine aggregate we normally get. Right, and it's basically a waste material the quarry doesn't want that we're using up. So it's a win-win for everybody, and it makes the concrete a little bit better. And I love when those synergies all come together, right? So I'm hoping that we can get that going. It's you got to keep it moving through the plant. You don't want it to sit with all that 200 in there. It kind of cakes up like AB3, right? So, but as long as we can keep it moving and use it every day, I think it'll be a great way to make those products and be more economical and environmentally friendly too.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So if people are going to look up you on the internet or find out more about you, where would they look? Where are some places they can find out what you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, I unlike you, I kind of lay pretty low. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. The Geiger website. We have a GeigerReadyMix.com website. I mean, you can contact me through there. I've been trying to get everybody here to maybe make a little quality control page on there. I mean, we've got like the CIPs from the NRMCA and stuff like that, but do something a little more, just sharing what we're doing with our customers and like you do with everyone, because that's what I love about what you do, and why we both love concrete is just getting that word out there. So I really appreciate the opportunity to share what we do and here in Kansas City.
Oh man, no problem. It's an honor to have you on the show and everything. And I know you had amazing messages, and that's one reason why I was so fired up, to do it. Do you have any other messages? Any other things you'd like to leave people with, or things that they'd like to think about before we finish this up?
I mean, as we both know, I mean, this is probably the most amazing material on the planet. It'll take any shape, make any color, take any form, if you can build the mold to hold it. you know, it just fascinates me every day. And I mean, I just, I think everyone would benefit to know more about it. And if you start looking around, it's all around you, you know, in so many uses. So, you know, just keep thinking about it, keep researching it, reach out to people like, you know, Tyler and I, if you need more information. We're, you know, like you said, education is probably the biggest thing, and that's what you do every day so well.
Thanks, man. Dude, amen, and keep preaching. And with that, hey, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment below. Is there somebody else you want to meet? Is there one of these tips that you thought you want to try? Have you tried it? Give us some feedback. Thanks, everybody. Bye.